best place?
Okay.
Maybe over there?
Would this work better? Okay.
Yeah, so we see you.
Need to turn it on or off. Okay. That works, right?
Let's see. Yeah, so we have some people joining already. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We're just setting up still, so just bear with us for just a moment.
So do I need to look at here?
We'll maybe look over there. It'll be more like you and me talking,
Oh,
but
okay.
if you want to look over
Oh,
there
okay.
to interact with our students as well.
Great.
Yeah, we'll give everyone, I would say, a minute or two to join in.
Sounds good.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity too, because I would like to introduce myself and my work, and hopefully the students can get to know me a little bit more.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Wow, we actually have quite a few people. Hello,
Hi,
everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so we'll actually get started if you're okay with that.
Yes.
Okay, so to start off, hello everybody. Thank you for joining us on our very first Child Development Club Faculty Spotlight interview. Woohoo! My name is Brianna, or most people know me as Bri, and I am the incoming Child Development Club President for this academic year, and I will be the host for today's interview. Today I am joined by the lovely Dr. Chen. So how are you today,
Morning,
Dr. Chen?
I'm doing good. Today is Thursday. I'm teaching on Thursday, so I know it will be a busy day, but I'm doing fairly good.
And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule.
Too, yeah.
Yeah. So just to kind of bring up the topic of the main point of the Child Development Faculty Spotlight interview, for everyone to know. So the main point of the interviews is for students to get to know more about you, your research, your career highlights, your advice for students, and even your own personal interests. So students not only see you as a faculty member, but they see you, as an actual person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you feel comfortable discussing them, if not, like if you saw some questions that you don't feel comfortable, that's completely okay as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do have a list of questions for you that you have seen, and some are general questions and some are actually submitted by our wonderful students. So, shall we get started?
Yes.
Perfect. So, why don't we start off with an official introduction?
Okay.
So, can you please introduce yourselves to the students who may not have met you yet, and what is your role in the Child Development Department?
Okay. So, hi everyone. My name is Keting Chen, and so I am a Chinese, and so the Keting Chen is my the pronunciation for my name, and it's in Chinese pinyin, and although it's called Keting Chen, Chen is my last name, my family name. Keting, the K-E Ke is actually my mom's last name.
Oh, wow.
And Ting is a Chinese character. It has its own meanings. So so Keting Chen is my name, and you can call me Keting. And in the past, when I worked with a little toddler in the lab school, and they are developing their language skills, and they were not able to pronounce it clearly yet.
Right.
But I have this little sweet friend call me all the way like a king,
Oh.
because she wants to pronounce Keting, but she's not able to yet to pronounce like the ting. So it's like a king every day. But so cute and so sweet. So Keting is my name, and this is my third year in the Department of Child Development, so I am currently an assistant professor in the department, and then I'm teaching classes like mostly relevant to ECE classes, early childhood education relevant class, and then my own research is focused on early math. With young children. So that is briefly about me, and I am also a first generation like college student, grad student. So I navigate the journey in academics by myself, so it takes a little bit long. But so far I enjoyed who I am, and that's briefly about me.
Nice. Yeah, I'm also a first gen student as well, so I'm also paving the way for my family to get an education as well. So I do understand, like, if anything, you understand my struggles, I understand your struggles.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And just so we could get to know you better, the next question we have is I apologize, is an icebreaker.
Yes.
So, if you can travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Yeah, so I did consider about this question because I am a traveler. I like traveling a lot. But I traveled a lot before COVID, and then even before I came to the US, because within the past 8 years as a student working here, I wasn't able to travel that much. I traveled a lot within the States. But I think the places I really wanted to go right now is to the places that I have been there before. So I think the most place I want to go is Hong Kong. So I've been to Hong Kong for 3 times so far, but it's all before 2015, I think. So it has been 10 years.
It has been a while.
It has been 10 years, and then I do want to revisit there because I know there might be a lot of change there. I just want to personally, physically go there, experience if there's any change. That kind of experience makes me to reflect, makes me to think, and I really miss these places. So I do have several places I want to revisit. That's all about I've been visiting there 10 years ago. So
yeah, so you would like to revisit Hong Kong again?
Yes, Hong Kong is the top place that I want to go back.
Nice. For me, it would actually have to be Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. A few years back, I spent a semester on the island, at Hawaii Pacific University.
Right.
And I actually still have some friends over there that I would actually love to go see again, but with finances and everything.
It's expensive.
Yes.
In both Hawaii and Hong Kong.
Exactly. So that's another thing we relate to.
Yeah. But it's a really beautiful, good place to go.
Yeah. So now that we finished the icebreaker, now let's get into the nitty gritty of the interview. So, can you walk us through your educational journey and key milestones that you went to get to this point?
Okay. So I went to East China Normal University in Shanghai, China. And when you hear the East China Normal University, if you know Normal University in the past, refers to those a teacher's college or teacher training schools. So that is the type of university set up for training the teachers. But nowadays they changed to a more integral, more the university with multiple disciplines now. And then so I went to that university because I chose my major as early childhood education. So I was trained as an early childhood educator, so I have teaching certificate for teaching young children at age 3 to 6 years old. And so that was my undergrad, and it was great in undergrad. So I have to be honest with a lot of our students too. I shared it in my class too. I am not always the top student, GPA 4.0 student. That was because it's not because I didn't want to. It's because I didn't know how to at the beginning as a first-gen college student.
Right.
I don't know. When I first joined the college, I didn't know how to study about a course in the college, and I don't even know what is GPA. Why does it matter? And how much effort you need to put in order to achieve a high grade. And so I shared with my students my experience during my college time. The first 2 years I was navigating the college life, and I know when I need to study, I study, but I do not know how to study well and how to get a higher point. And my GPA wasn't that bad. It's always above 3, but it's not like the high, like a 3.7, 3.9, 4.0.
Right.
And then to me, I thought like that's enough because it's not hurting me. So I thought it's enough until my second year. There was one opportunity that we were able to apply for a like exchange program for a shorter visit to a different university overseas. So at that time, there was one university in Hong Kong that I want to go. So I applied, but then I found like the competition is so severe. Like every candidate's applicants are so qualified, well qualified, and they have higher GPAs than me. They got scholarships for their first 2 years study, and then I was like, oh wait, we were in the same classroom, but why didn't I get those opportunities? Because I didn't know how to.
Right.
And so I started to work harder and kind of switched my mind and learn better to study more efficiently and be more focused on my course during my third year. And then eventually it showed up like the efficiency because I did catch up with my GPAs. And with the higher GPA, I got scholarships as well. And so that's the moment when I feel like I am capable of doing things. And but it's okay, like if you don't know how to do things initially, you just don't give up. And you know what's your ultimate goal is there and try to go for it. So that was my undergrad learning, that I have those experience makes me feel like I gain a lot of more confidence in what I can do. And then also because of that, I becomes kind of on the top list of our students within our department. And then I also got the opportunity to be admitted to our master program, like directly with the scholarship. And that's where I started my master program in ECNU as well, with scholarship, and then focusing on the research on early math, because that's my advisor's area. So that's what I did for my undergrad and master students. And then when I was college student, again, by the junior year, a lot of my classmates started to applying for grad school. At that time, I wasn't sure what grad school is and how to apply for those. And but I'm very like, what is that word? Like unrealistic in a way, because all of my classmates who wants to apply for a grad school overseas, like in the US, they are holding like a GPA at 4.0 or 3.7. And the goal of their like grad school, the programs are like those Harvard, Columbia, Pennsylvania, Ivy League, yeah. And I was very unrealistic because I thought, oh, that's our schools I'm going to. So on my list of the grad school I'm going to apply for is also Ivy League. But it's unrealistic in a way, like my GPA didn't even meet their needs because they have a very high standard, like a GPA requirement, and then all the other experiences as well. So but it's just showing you how the first gen college students are kind of naive and like
it shows it shows the struggles, that we're not really quite informed of what opportunities are out there for us. Even for me, it wasn't until recently that I actually learned about masters and certificates. I honestly thought they were all the same thing, but I found out through my experience here that there's different masters that you can take with different concentrations as well. Or if you're not quite ready for a master's, but you are ready to get out there to work, you can obtain a certificate as well if that's something you're looking for as well. So as a first gen student as well, I also need to like learn things myself. But you know what? That's good on both of us, because then we could help younger students to learn more about it, so they have more opportunities that we may not have known back then.
Yeah, and I think people choose different career or like a path for different reasons, right? Like when my classmates choose those schools, they have their goals, they have their goals and their aim, their future career in their mind. but theirs are not mine. Like
Right.
I don't have any goals at that time. I just know, oh, I need to get to a good grad program, but I don't know what is that. Does that mean, right?
Yeah,
So,
what does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that's all different. Like the rationale behind the thing is different. So I take one step back by joining our own program because I just feel like I was so unready for the programs overseas that I didn't know anything about, and my research skills are novice at that time too. And so I think it's maybe better to just stay for another 3 years within my program for the master degree. And so I did that. And then after I get the master degree, there's also the career choice is if I want to keep going to pursue the PhD, or if I want to find some job else like
Right.
education field, but require a master degree. Then I always want to work in the university. So at that time, the job came to my mind was like those academic advisor type of job. Because in the universities in China, they require master degree at least to play a role in the university. So I thought when I got my master degree, I can work in the university in those academic like academic advisors role. But then I kind of hesitate because I love early childhood, this field a lot.
Right.
And I don't want to give up all these 7 years of learning of those content specific, like within the major. And because academic advisors can be very broad to every
Right.
student, that can benefit a lot of students. But I also feel like I
Your
don't want
passion
to,
was
I
more
don't want to
towards
give
early
up
childhood.
to this major, this field, and I also want to be a professor as well. So I feel like I want to pursue that route. But it's hard because I have my master degree first. It cost me 3 years as standard like program.
Right.
But pursuing PhD means another 5 years at least. Or sometimes within these type of subjects, sometimes it takes 7 to 8 years. It's not uncommon. So that kind of stressed me a bit too, because you are in a society that your age is discriminated as well, your
Yeah.
life choices, all these things. But eventually I decide to follow my passion in the field because I do, through the master degree, I do feel like I like to do research. I like research. I like the part of investigation. Like maybe this is genetically passed on me because when I was born, both of my parents are policewomen and policemen.
Oh.
So they do investigation on certain things. And so I feel like I took something from them, and I do like to do investigation.
So in your case, it's
So I feel
genetic.
like, and I felt like a research is something I like because I like to ask questions and then find out why I want to, what is the evidence or what is the answer for those questions. So that kind of motivates me to the PhD program that I applied to keep my journey. Yeah.
Wow. Well, if anything, I'm so happy that you told us about your journey. It's so amazing to hear your perspective. It's just inspiring me, and I'm pretty sure it's inspiring our students as well. And then you obtained a PhD. Speaking about PhDs,
Right.
you obtained a PhD at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, correct?
Yeah.
In human sciences?
Yes.
Perfect. And this is actually our first student submitted question, which is why did you decide to attend or / obtain a PhD at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, in my junior year, the schools on my list are all those Ivy Leagues, like top
Right.
20, top 50. But I think one thing I learned about grad school is that you get those information from the website, and you get those information from the like advertisement or wherever. It's kind of just the information out there, and it's text. Sometimes it didn't convey a lot of message, like standard process of how to get into programs. but you don't really know like what the environment or dynamics looks like within a program or within the department. And that's same for me to those Ivy Leagues. Like I just know they are fancy, they are top ranked, but I don't know anything about them, about their faculty members, about the students.
Yeah, you just know that they're like one of the top schools, but you don't really know the specifics in there.
And so when it's the end of second year of my master program, when I reconsider applying for the PhD program, I had a chance to work with a professor from University of Nebraska-Lincoln, because they have a short, like a 2-week visiting program with ECNU, and I was able to visit US one time in 2014. So I was able to like visit UNL at that time and get in touch with the faculty members within the department and interact with them. So I get to know this university from that time.
Yeah, you got to know it before you attended.
Yeah, before I applied, before I enrolled in the program. And then also I think it's also a coincidence or whatever. I always feel like it's a fit in a way. Is after I attended like the short time exchange program, like the 2-week program, I looked up their faculty like a web page, their introductions, and then I realized there are several like really well-known professors, scholars within their department. And when I say they are really well-known, they are really well-known. It's not like locally, regionally well-known. It's nationally, internationally well-known. So one of the faculty member is Dr. Carolyn Edwards. I've introduced this to many of my students in my class too. So she is an expert in early childhood education, and the famous piece of her masterpiece is she wrote the book The 100 Language of Children, which is associated with early childhood program at Italy, the Reggio Emilia approach, which is super well known across, like within the field of early childhood education. So at that time, my thought was, why did Carolyn go to UNL? There must be something attracted her, right? I know it's in the Midwest of United States. It's miles and miles of nothing. It's boring, and people always keep saying those to me, but what attracted her, there must be something magic there. Either the environment or like the people are so nice there, so she decided to spend like 20 years working there, right? So that's my rationale, and I thought like, oh, if Carolyn can go, I can go too. And then I also realized there's another author for the work I am doing. So for my master's degree, I work on like the authentic assessment for young children's learning of math skills. So when we study about the authentic assessment in early childhood, we learn the different types of assessment. So that including something used commonly used in the classroom, like one type of assessment is called the work sampling system, WSS. And the author of this WSS is Dr. Samuel Meisels. And then when I looked up Samuel Meisels, and he's also working in Nebraska, in UNO, actually he was in the Buffett Early Childhood Institute, but it's affiliated to University of Nebraska. So I feel like, all these big names goes to Nebraska.
They all link back.
And they are all there, so I should go. It shows me this is a good place for at least the early childhood programs. And then those are the people who are willing to work there for such a long time, and it's a good place for me to go too. So that's why, and with the recommendation letters from the faculty members within that department, I eventually applied and I got into their PhD program. And of course, that's valuable, 7 years studying there. But yeah, that's why I am studying there.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, you went through a lot to get here, and from the bottom of my heart and everyone, we're all so happy that you're here with us to mentor the students. And you're just a big part of the department, and you're someone who we all look up to. So thank you for just being you. So the next question is actually not related to anything that I said. I'm not trying to butter you up or anything, but it's rather another student submitted question. So, what brought you to CSUSB, and what do you love about working here?
Yeah. So you heard me talking about the match, the fit. So I think CSUSB, especially our department, to me, it's a fit. Like first of all, there was this opening position when I was graduating, so I was able to apply for this job, right? And the job description just described so well about what I've been doing, so I found this is really a match to the position itself. And then went through the interviewing process and interact with the faculty members within our department, our hiring committee. I just found this is a group of so sweet, thoughtful, and effective, efficient people to work with, and I really like them, and that including Dr. Lisa Looney is the chair, and then like Dr. Stacy Morris, and they are any others I didn't mention, but they are all very sweet, the sweetest one I've met, and then I felt like this is a good fit, and not only because background fit, it's just like the personality wise, and I felt like I think I'm nice too, and so I think I can get along with them well as well, and that's why I finally decided to come to CSUSB after they extend the offer to me. And I think there are also those coincidences as well, like I mentioned, it's always about the fit match, and then when they extended the verbal offer to me, that was on the Valentine's Day, and I just felt like all the time during the job hunting and interview, I just feel like you are looking for your soulmate, looking for your partners,
and there you go on Valentine's Day.
It's on Valentine's Day. They extended the offer to me, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely like a destiny kind of choice, and that's why I'm here. So before I came here, of course, I just know the faculties are nice, and then I had a visit on CSUSB campus in April before I came, and I thought the campus is beautiful too, a lot of green, and because I study a bit of nature education as well, and so I like to see the mountains and the green, the grass, so I thought the environment on campus is really pretty. And then after I joined the department, I worked with all these students, and I found like the students are so nice, kind as well, and it's just part of me really wants to stay here forever to work with all my faculty and the students here. Yeah.
Cool. And like I said, we're all very happy and honored to have you here teaching us.
Yeah.
Now, it's time for the topic that everyone has been waiting for, your research. So, the first question is actually another student submitted question. Can you please tell us about your research and why are you so passionate about it?
Yeah, so my research generally focused on early math. And when I say early math, I'm looking at young children's learning of math skills, and young children's refers to age 3 to 6 years old. That's the age range that I've been studied for these many years. I began to be interested in this field starting from my college class. There was 1 year early math education course. I did pretty well on that one, got a 4.0 on that one, and that's why I feel like, I can do it, and I like it, and I personally like math as well, although I'm not a mathematician, but I do like math. And then in my master program, I work with my advisor on the project that is also early math targeted. But at that time, we work with preschool teachers. So you would consider preschool teachers should know math is important content, and they should teach it, or like create opportunities for children to learn in their classrooms, but the reality is not every preschool teachers are familiar with that, and not every preschool teachers know what's the most important concepts of math that need to be expose children to in the younger age. So during my master program, because we were in the education, like a department of education or college of education, so the method we use a lot is more qualitative research. And so for my master program, master thesis, we are using the participatory action research, which is we work in the field with these teachers and to help them to improve the quality of the classroom by adding like the math related materials, design environment to facilitate math opportunities for young children, and then collect their reflections in that way to help teachers professional development. So that is what I've done for my master's thesis with enhance teachers' professional development through the math, so that is a way to support children's math outcome.
Right.
And then when I joined the PhD program, the program itself is human sciences and specialized in child, family, and child youth and family studies. So it's kind of broad. And the faculty members are from various backgrounds, from psychology, usually developmental psychology, so that they are focusing on different aspects of children's development. So math is part of the cognitive skills, or I would say it's heavily related.
Yeah, it's like a sub-branch of it.
Yeah, and because in that department it's not really education based, so it's not about teaching, but it's more about how like a children's learning. I would say it's more about development and learning rather than teaching. So within my PhD program, I didn't I want to focus still on the math. That's my interest topic. But then I because I also identified some individual differences in learning math when I was in master program. So I want to continue this line of research to look more into individual differences in children's learning of math skills that can relate it to age, that can relate it to gender. Those are more like a demographic information, but more importantly is they found there is the context where children gain different math opportunities. So I started the school settings. Now I switched my goal to the home settings. So the home math environment is another topic that I'm currently focused on to see how the parents can support children's learning. And as I mentioned in the past, because it's in the education department, you were thinking of school settings, it's more of a subject-based kind of feeling, but I am majored in early childhood education, and it's I'm big believer in like play enhanced learning as well as those informal learning settings. So I want to learn how children learn those math skills through an informal learning settings, and like how to learn those through the play, through the nature, outdoor environment, things like that. So that's kind of my focus in my PhD programs. And so for my study, my dissertation, for example, I did looking at how both home math environment and child care math environment contribute to children's math skills. And then I'm using a very fancy like modeling skills, like the structural equation model, to see like what factors play a role in their early learning environment, and like echoed to a lot of literature.
Right.
The frequency of the home math activities play a role, the types of activities play a role, and then I'm now looking at more of like parent-child interaction during those activities, because you know how much math vocabulary, number talk that parents produce with their young children can definitely play a role in their outcomes. So that's something I'm looking at.
Oh yeah,
and
like if children, I apologize for interrupting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like if children constantly hear their parents talking about, let's say, literature or mathematics with them, then they're gonna get that in their mind, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
like when they get to like grade school, they'll be more comfortable talking about it, correct?
Oh. Yeah, and then So math is the most important or like a heavy part in my research. But sometimes I referring to as STEM, as you saw from my website as well. That was a part of my research, like a project. The research project I've been involved in touches on different aspects of the STEM. So I have a work that I translated a book on focusing on early childhood engineering. Experience, so engineering learning, so I learned like about early engineering, as well as I was involved in a research project for 4 or 5 years so far, like the CS4O, trying to see like the K8 students computational thinking, so that's the computer science area. So I was involved in those projects right now because I haven't started the work yet, but why I focus on the STEM, because I know a lot of times what prevents the teachers or parents to support their children's learning of early STEMs was because they are not so confident in that, and they thought too complex it is, and that kind of prevents them to support the children. And before the young children, what matters really is to cultivate their interests. So it's more important to provide them the opportunity to experience with hands-on activities, so they are explored, rather than really talking about like teaching them the concepts, what it is, what is the definition, how you can do it. It's not like that for young children. So again, it's a play-enhanced, play-based learning experience, and the important thing is they need this opportunity, and that makes the difference across different groups of children, because some children are exposed to rich opportunities, so they get better skills when they are in school, whereas others didn't have those opportunities because their parents or teachers don't know it, and so they miss that opportunity. So this is where we want to bring in like the diversity, as well as provide equal opportunities for the children, so that they can have exposure to those topics. That's one thing. An additional thing within this topic too is always about the stereotypes as well. So most commonly seen stereotype is the gender, which I will be interested too, because I want to empower girls in
women
the
in
STEM.
STEM.
There is a huge, it's the research from our own study, the CS4O, we didn't see the differences in interests, in self-efficacy among young children, like K3 students. They have the same passion, same confidence in learning CS, but these interests, or like interests kind of reduced,
they kind of diminish.
To the like a middle school, high school, it becomes less and less. So there's a role of like stereotypes or something else out there play a role, prevented them to move forward, and that's what I want to kind of keep advocating for. Women in STEM.
Nice.
Early on.
Like I can see that happening because from personal experience as well. In elementary school, I would see my older peers building like robots because they were in STEM programs, like the engineering programs. They would build like robots. They would walk around with them, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. But then I kind of also noticed like it was mainly boys in there too, and that kind of also for me, my personal experience, that kind of diminished my like self-confidence about being in STEM. So I'm so happy that you're empowering younger girls and women to stand up for themselves in STEM, because that's something that I feel like we do really need.
Yeah, I do think so too, because one thing I want to mention too is yes, people tend to associate like STEM learning with smartness, but it's not really true. Like I said, a lot of girls, they are capable and they have interests, they are capable, but they still don't trust themselves. They feel like they don't smart enough, but it's not true. For me, same. I don't think I'm stupid, but I'm not very good at those STEM subjects when I was a high school student, because I didn't have any exposure to, I was not exposed to any of those learning, like physics. I get to learn physics when I was middle school, like the 13 years old.
Yes.
Like before that, as a girl, we always engaged in like a dramatic play, role play, all this girly activity that I don't know. But I don't find I hate STEM. I don't find I cannot do that. I like to fix the wires in the telephone. I like to do a lot of things, and I feel like I did this quicker than my husband did. So I always think it's about the opportunity. It's because they are not introduced to these things earlier and they don't have those experience to practice, and that's why they are not so good at it comparing to the others who have those early exposures. And that's why it's important to bring those experience to young children.
Yeah, I also feel the same way because speaking from experience again, from middle school, I stopped at 13 and then went to high school when I turned 14. I did not really have much of a science or mathematics background, and my high school was math and science. So going from basically not having the resources to all of a sudden being thrown into math and science, I do understand, like, I know I could do this. I just don't know how to.
Right.
Yeah, like my first ever classes in high school was biology, and that's kind of a heavy topic already to start off on a 14, 13-year-olds. But I do feel like if I did have the resources, the opportunities back then, like when I was younger, I might have been able to do good in high school. I might have been able to actually like be more interested in the subjects.
Right.
Yeah, so I do see where your research is coming from, and I completely love it. Yeah, so and overall, what do you, I know we kind of talked about this, but to kind of summarize it, what do you hope to accomplish when your research project is completed?
So I hope to so I am looking at like those associations, what works, what doesn't work. So I hope like when my research is done and I have some conclusions about what works and what doesn't work, I can use my work to engage more like a community service as well, so that I can provide teachers with professional development with the aspects that I know what works better for them, so they need to focus more on those topics, and I can have something to share with parents as well. So like we generally mention, the frequency of math talk matters, right? And then the types of activity matters, but really whether they are matter in the same way or different way, or what talk needs to be included. So those are very detailed things, and I want to find out through my research so that we give them guidance in a way so that they can support their children as well, right? And so that's my biggest thinking about to utilize my research findings, as well as within our department, because we are working with students who are majored in early childhood education. So hopefully I in the future I will have a class created for the early math development. So hopefully I will utilize that class too, just to share what's the most updated findings in the research field, and then how they can support the children when they graduated, when they are in their field, in their career.
Right, and like I said, your field of research is so important because I am guilty of this as well. I do have younger siblings. They constantly ask me for help with their like mathematics homework, and I'm not a math person at all by any means. So if my parents couldn't answer the question, they would typically come to me. And there's this stereotype as well, like, oh, she's in college, she knows more. And I'm like, I don't know how to help. So I feel like giving parents or even older siblings the opportunities and a guideline to help the younger generation would absolutely be helpful. Because I do feel bad whenever my siblings come up to me like, hey, can you help me or describe what this mathematical problem is asking? I would look over it just a second and I would be like, I can't help you. It's been so long. Let's see. So here is another student submitted question. what do you wish more students, or rather the public, knows about you and or your research?
Yeah, so I view myself, I think this is also a model that promoted within our department too, is the teacher scholar. So you are both teacher and the scholar, and that's how I identify myself as well with my background. The first 7 years in early childhood education as a teacher, like educator's role, which would be more practical in a way. But then 7 years in the grad school PhD program, being a researcher studying young children's learning of math, more like a research role. And I'm trying to build the role as a bridge, like bridging these two pieces, because it's very common in the like education, like practical side, that we learn from the class and we just want to know what works, and then we just do it effectively in the classroom. But it's also important to find out what works, which is the researcher's role, right? And so that's my role, is I trying to bridging the both role, and in the public or within our field too, because within the field of child development, like especially in the early math development, there are primarily two sets of researchers studying this topic.
Right.
One is from the education department, which is focusing on curriculum and instruction. So they are looking very closely on the subject matters, like how to teach those math content well to young children in the classroom setting. So when they mention early childhood education, it's typically around the K-3, because it's school settings, school-aged children. And another set of scholars are in the child developmental psychologists. They are a developmental psychologist. They are like the cognitive scientist. They are studying how young children learn number words, how they are processing the number, the quantity information. So that's more of individual, like a child development, their brain development, their cognitive skills, that part. And but both of them are lacking experience in a way, because teacher training is more subject, teachers teaching. The other is children individually, but sometimes if it's individually, can you apply those into the real world scenario or not? So I feel like myself playing a role of bridging both, because I have a background from both field, and so trying to bring those more practical experience, research practice.
Perfect.
Like that. So one example I can share, for example, so I'm involved in a project called Many Number Project. It is a large project collaborating with over 130 labs across the world, and we'll be looking at some like the children's learning of number words, like those quantity, these basic concepts. And then right now the leadership team is looking for the materials to hope to use to collect the children's data on like counting, for example. And I found this interesting because a lot of them are developmental psychologists, but their perspective is more like lab based, and it's kind of rigid in a way, is not really make connection with real world scenario or what works or what doesn't work. So I played a role, like I made comments on the materials that we can use, because I know what materials children like better. And so hopefully through those materials it can facilitate more number talk, or like we can get more authentic data from the children. So I feel like, oh good, because this is the role they don't have and I do. And that's how I contribute.
That's amazing, honestly. Let's see. And then another question from a student, or another student submitted question, my apologies, is, are you currently looking for students to assist you in your research lab?
Yeah, so not this semester, because this semester I'm teaching 4 classes, that's a lot.
Yeah,
then,
I kind of figured. I saw on the website, I'm like, whoa, you have this and a research lab? I'm like, how are you doing?
Yeah, so right now there's one student working with me on the research agendas, but we are kind of still in the preparing phase. But next semester I do, because I will start to collect data for the many number projects, so I do need research assistants, and it will be a full like a range of experience within the research project. But yes, I do. I'm looking for research assistant.
So not this semester, but starting next
so
semester.
it's good time to reach out to me, because I will need to interview, and I will need to provide the students with some background information about the project, and then we need to set up things so that's ready for the research in spring semester. So anyone interested and wants to reach out, please feel free to. I don't have strict requirement for students, like you have to have research experience or you have to be interested in this field or whatever, but it's always preferred, like if you have the passion about research, or if you are particularly interested in working with young children, that's a plus, right? Because I will be collecting data with young children, and then it's also, I think I care most now is about the time commitment, because I know students are busy here too, but with this research project, when it starts, it's a commitment, so I would be better if the students have like at least 5-10 hours a week to want to volunteer to be in the research project, so that would be better.
Perfect, that sounds amazing. And then let's see, then do you have any recommendations or advice you would like to give to students teaching STEM to young children?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, I would say for younger age, do not think about teaching hard concepts to the children, but more so of encourage of their like interests, and to just provide them with more opportunities so that they can explore, and let them lead you in a way, instead of we take a whole bunch of concepts and dump on them. So that takes some stress off of the teachers and our students as well, because you don't have to memorize all these things, but you will want to be a professional teacher or like observer or adult parents, whatever role you play in supporting their STEM learning, is just keep facilitating their interests and trying to ask a lot of questions to facilitate their thinking, and that's the most important first steps, I think. Yeah.
Right, perfect. Thank you so much. And then before we end the interview, do you have any closing words of wisdom or advice you would like to share with the students, like general or even like anything?
Well, first, thank you again for having me, giving me the opportunity to introduce myself and share my experience. And I think what I want to share with a lot of students as a first-gen college students and grad students in the school, I think also during this time, most of you are at the emerging adulthood period. I think it's a very important time to explore who you are, like to identify who you are. Do not give up any opportunities, but also trying to figure out if this is your passion, go for it. If it's not, do not waste too much time on something that you are not so sure, or maybe you don't really like it, because you have a lot of things to do. And then try to explore a lot of things, and try to be tough, hang there, and try to push yourself out of the comfort zone, because every time when you achieve something, it is usually when you are out of your comfort zone, and you will find that yourself is very capable, and you can do everything. So that is my advice. I think is just try not to ignore any opportunities.
Right.
Like work with me
Oh,
on the
there you go.
research. You might be able to find, oh, this is so interesting for
And it
little
really
ones.
is.
Yeah, and then it opened up another way for you to the future career.
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much
You're
for your
welcome.
time. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And this will be the end of our CD Faculty Spotlight interview. Thank you again, Dr. Chen, for your time.
Thank you.
So let me go ahead and end.